it don't get everything is true. But what it don't get, I can't use. I need money. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Welcome back to the MBH Podcast, episode 11. Myself, Anthony Srella. I'm here with my co-host, Ernesto Gaita, and our lovely guest, Sako.
Episode 11.
Sako D.
Sako D.
Because there's so many Sakos.
Yeah.
You have
In
to
the
call him
world.
Sako D.
I'm upset you didn't do the clap when we started. That was my favorite part. There it is.
Yeah,
Now it's official.
Now it's official.
Now it's official.
Sako, listen, a lot of people in the city know who you are. Some people don't.
You're not lying. That's for
I'd be surprised if they didn't know who you were, but maybe just give them a little intro on yourself, who you are, your background, what you do, the whole thing.
Sure. Well, my name is Sako
D.
D.
Yep.
Nightlife hospitality is what I specialize in. It's all. I mean, I'm sure we'll discuss, but it's a lot deeper than just that. From what people think, you just go out, you party, you drink, you come home. It's a little bit more than that. I started in the nightlife industry many years ago as a promoter, and that evolved obviously into ownership, restaurants, bars, clubs, and now I find myself owner of 7 venues, I think.
Unreal.
It's amazing, man.
You know, keeps me busy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I was going to say, I have some questions about the promoter. Like, when did you start promoting? And why did you
So I was in
start?
university.
Yeah.
I was, my goal was to get into law school.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, quite a pivot, I guess you could say. I was out at a bar one day, saw this guy slap out another guy. I'm like, yeah, that guy looks like a cool guy, because someone was being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Well, he turned out to be my business partner.
Wow.
So Oleg.
Shout out Oleg.
Yeah, so he was at the time, all ages parties. They don't really exist as much anymore, but they used to be the thing.
Yeah.
And so he was throwing these all ages parties. He was like the guy.
Cool.
Like all the girls were after him, and he was, he had a Mustang, and he was just that cool guy.
Okay.
So we ended up becoming friends. We were both at York University at the time. He was still throwing these parties, and he started just getting into the 19 and older parties, I guess.
Yeah.
Now that we just call them regular clubs, but at the time they were 19 and older, right? It was like the thing. Everyone that was going to all ages just wanted to go to those. And he saw that I had a pretty good network and relationship, and he said, let's throw a party together one day. So we said, okay, so we threw a party. We thought we were going to get so rich. It was like hand over fist, but our deal was horrendous. We had to pay for all the expenses, and we got half the door. Okay. So, I mean, for those who don't know, the door, basically cover charge. So, you do the math. If you have 300 people coming to the party, so let's say you're assuming, because it's your first party, that everyone's going to pay. So out of because in the all ages days, everybody paid. There was nobody that didn't pay.
Of course.
But when you get older, you learn really fast that nobody pays.
No one wants to pay.
Yeah, so, we did the math, 300 people, we let 50 people, our close friends and family in. That's $2,500 a week. We get half of that, $1,200, $200 in expenses. Oh, we're making $1,000, $500 each. We're golden.
Yeah, we're rich.
Well, didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, it never turns out
Everyone who came, I mean, it was busy, but everyone who came was our friends, and we obviously wanted to hook them up, and everyone got in free, and plus all the expenses. We actually lost money.
Yeah.
So, but one thing led to another. There's a couple other parties, and then we find ourselves here today. It was constant growth. It was always like a struggle. It wasn't like it is now, like from a marketing perspective. And I know you guys are, obviously marketers extraordinaire, but there was no social media at the time.
Yeah.
Or it was very fresh. It was like MySpace and
Gino Gina.
Gina and Meet Me in T.O.
Yeah.
Meet Me in T.O. Yeah.
But even then, it wasn't like really the same. It was not like how it is now, because smartphones weren't really around. That's how old I am, right?
Jesus
so
Christ.
it was just Blackberries. Everybody wanted a BlackBerry. So we.
It's BBM promotion.
I found myself out in this cold, in the snow, in the rain, literally handing out flyers to my own parties.
Yeah.
So standing there, just trying to get people in, and doing these mass text messages, which were a pain in the ass.
That's crazy.
Those were popular.
Creating broadcast lists, and now it's obviously. Can you imagine a promoter standing outside and actually like handing out a flyer?
I know a few of them.
But I mean, it's not the same, right? But it's not the same. Like that was like, and then like actually like imagine conversing with your
You actually have to
clients
talk
or
to
whatever.
someone?
Like
Yeah.
they weren't even clients; they were my friends. You
Yeah.
know, like conversing with these people. Like nobody converses. They put up a flyer on Instagram or post it on Facebook,
They
and
show up.
they expect people to show up, and they want to get paid the world. Like, you know, so it's evolved a lot. But that was how it kind of all started, and then we were throwing a party at Nude at the time, which is now the Good Son and Wayward, and that's where actually those brunch parties, which you see in Toronto now, that's where it originated, at Nude. So
I remember those.
Yeah, so I mean,
I never went, but I had to.
Yeah, the idea was from New York. There was a Bagatelle.
Yeah,
Bagatelle, yeah.
Huge.
And then wanted to do something similar in Toronto. So we were throwing the parties at Nude, and all of our peers relative to our age, I guess you could say, it started evolving, getting more into ownership. I mean, I did dabble in it a little bit. We were partners at Cobra when Cobra first opened.
Wow, I didn't even
so
know
we
that.
launched Cobra. And so it was ourselves from a promotion side. There was another group called Something Monroe. They're not around anymore, and it was Matty, and
Okay, cool.
he had a partner at the time. Anyway, so that lasted a few years, but we got out of it just because you learn from there's steps, so you learn, and then we got back stuck to promotion because, believe it or not, I mean, still make more money promoting their shit. And you have no responsibility, no headache. So you don't have to worry about making rent that month. You get what you put into it as a promoter. So
You
if
just
you
show
hustle,
up, drink, hustle, get some people in.
if you hustle, you can make great money.
Of course.
For sure.
Especially if you're still living at home or whatever the case may be. So got into ownership, got out of it, and then eventually you just have to get into it or just get out of the business, because I mean there's a few guys out there that are old, but I mean there's a stigma that comes with promotion as well, right? So even with my wife at the time, my girlfriend, and she didn't want me to always be a promoter, because there's always like people associated, you're either trying to hook up with chicks or just getting drunk or trying to be cool. So I mean, I was in it because I sincerely enjoyed what I was doing. I mean, truthfully, to this day, I love interacting with people. I love talking to people. I love hosting people, and it's just my personality is the way I was brought up. Just try to be as hospitable as possible, and that's what this industry is, right? It's the hospitality industry. So,
and I gotta give you love for that too, because even at your clubs now, well, obviously not now, but more recently, you still go and you still host your people. Like, you're an owner now. Technically you don't have to go do that, but you do it to obviously support the business, and because you loved doing it. That's what you love doing.
But it's like any business, right? Like, think about it. Think about if you own a retail store. If you don't show up and all you have is your employees working there, I mean, how good are they going to work?
Of course.
Look, you need your staff. You need strong staff for sure, and we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have a great team around us. But you also motivate them by showing up, by being there. People see you. People see what you're doing. Whether it requires you to just pick up a mop and start cleaning the floor, whether it means clear the tables, or whatever is required. People, it's great leadership.
Of course.
And if I was working somewhere and I saw my boss, hustling,
exactly,
it would motivate me to work harder. Right. So,
and it's true, because we myself, and I'm sure Sorella, and definitely yourself, we've seen a lot of ownership that we don't see. Does that make sense? So a lot of people are behind the scenes for their own reasons or whatever it may be, but I've always believed in having that presence there, because now people associate you with that place, right? And not that owner. So now you have that power now.
I mean, look, I'm fortunate. Some of our partners are a little bit. Everyone
has their role.
Everyone has their role, and that's what I was going to say. In every partnership, and I'm in a lot of them, we don't have the same partnership group in all of the businesses that I'm involved with. But everybody brings something to the table. Otherwise, why do you need?
I just
why do
think
you need the partnership?
Right? Like, as a promoter, when I see the owner there of the club I'm working at, that excites me, because that's like, wow, he must really care about everything going on.
And there's going to be a time where I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be 60 years old in the club.
Of course.
A
couple nights.
A couple nights. It's my excuse to get out. But it's not going to be forever. Obviously, I have a son. I'm having a daughter. I just found out yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, shit. Congratulations.
Congrats, man. That's amazing.
You heard it here first on MBH Podcast.
The first announcement. So
unreal,
amazing.
Congrats, bro.
So, a $1 million family, except without the $1 million.
Perfect, man. Boy and girl. That's it. Hey.
That's amazing,
you know what?
man. Good for you.
I'm curious. I have a question. Because I know there is a lot of stigma in the promotion world. Like, how are you able to deal with that from maybe a friend's standpoint, a family standpoint, right? Like,
just more personal perspective. I guess.
I'm just gonna toot my own horn here, but everyone's in it for a different reason, right? Promoter,
Sure.
it's great money. You know, people want to party, drink for free, whatever the case may be, and just party. And you know, some people just want to pick up chicks, whatever it is. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm saying that because it's a predominantly male industry, but and they just want to be cool. You know, this is a cool. You can say, "Oh, my friends, I get you in for free. Here's some free drinks." I mean, I was fortunate; that was already cool. Yeah. So I didn't really need this this job.
Of course. I was waiting for that.
Well, it's the truth.
Of course.
So that was kind of the case. So there is a stigma for sure, but I think you guys know me outside of this, and I think you know the type of person I am. I've always been kind of like wear your heart on your sleeve, and whatever the case may be. Like you can see that I'm sincere in what I do. And I want that to be seen, right? And I feel like other people see that, so they understand my purpose in being there. That I'm truly there to, you know, take care of my friends, family, and I guess if you want to call them clients, guests, whatever. People, you have these like terms for them. I mean, really, they're just friends, right? And they're friends and people who are on your list or whatever. You know, when I'm talking about clubs, restaurants is different. It's your guest. But it doesn't. It's no different. It's exactly the same. I mean, instead of serving them a bottle, you're serving them pizza.
No. Fair. And I think, it just for me, I was thinking just even from the aspect of like now that you're a promoter and you go into ownership, you're very much in the hospitality industry. Like, is it hard to move out of it? Is it hard to kind of get into other things?
The one thing that I'll say is, as a promoter, you're very, very fortunate that what you're doing is always expanding your network, right? So really, whatever, I guess, route in life that you take, you're fortunate because you have such a strong following of people. Assuming you were a good promoter,
of course.
You have a strong following of people that will follow you. You know, whether you get into real estate, which a lot of promoters that I know have gotten into, because again, but any business in life, it's always about promoting, right? Like if you own a hair salon, you own a gym, you own a marketing agency, whatever the case may be, it's about the network that you have, right? So you're very fortunate as a promoter that you build this strong network. And then you have these people to follow you. And I mean, if you are a good promoter, you even have a bigger network. So
and that's the thing, right? Like, you have to kind of, I feel like you hit a point where you're like, I can, with everything I'm doing right now as a promoter, I can make this something bigger, right?
That's it.
And it takes a certain kind of person to understand that side of it, because promoting you can just get into it, like you said, for chicks, for money, for partying and whatever, right? But I think there comes a certain point when you kind of realize that I could do more with everything that I've just done for the last 5 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe that point right there where you're like, I can do more. When was that point? And
I had no choice. My wife made it.
Okay, so
She's like, this is the point. You're either doing something else. You even said being
a good promoter, so you were valuing all those relationships the whole time.
But it was it was natural. It wasn't like I was doing it with the expectation of, maybe I'll do something with this one day.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate in that sense that it came easy. The next step, it wasn't a matter of, oh shit, I should be nice to these people now. I'm going
to try and sell them something else now.
Yeah. It was never like that. It was like, everyone who's still, a lot of my friends that I was promoting to, a lot of them are obviously like older. They're married. Yeah. Or their kids, they don't go out as much, or some of them are in jail or dead, but it happens. But for those who are still going out, and the new friends that you're always making, right, being out, like you build this relationship, you build this friendship, right? Sometimes you can read between the lines. Being a promoter, being in the hospitality industry, you learn how to read people really well, right? Because those people that are just kind of, you never talk to them, which I don't mind, right? Like, I don't care, but then, hey, buddy, what's up? And I'm like, no, the day that they're messaging me, it's like the craziest lineup. There's 1,000 people outside. And all of a sudden, I'm, hey, buddy, what's up? Which is cool. Like, it's my job.
That's your job. Yeah,
so I don't mind.
But you get to read people that way, and you start to understand how people...
Not.
Exactly. Damn, okay. It's good to know.
So I know when I get a message from you, it's either...
right?
It's usually because Barry won't let you in.
Sneak me in the back, bro. Sneak me in the back.
Jesus Christ. Let's not get into it, please.
We need one of those. Dean, you got to set us up with one of those drum... things.
I think going off the promoters things, like, since you saw the kind of way promoters had to do things at a different time than this time, and now we've evolved and things are so much easier. Like, guys,
easier but harder.
Easier but harder because the competition is higher. Everyone's working on the same platform, but it is easier.
Because if anybody were to, sorry to cut you off, if anybody were to apply what was done back then to what it is now, think how much further they would be.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
what I mean. If you were actually contacted as again, I keep referring to the promoter because that's the industry that I grew up in, right? But if you grew up, if you do that now, imagine. Instead of just blasting, which is still important, social media is super important. I'm not taking anything away from it. But imagine you complemented that with
personal messages, personal invites.
Exactly. Which, and that's why you see even in social media, in any sort of digital marketing, the personalization of that messaging becomes more important, more and more important. And they've figured out ways to do that. I mean, people read between the lines, but you know, the more you can make it, give that personal touch, in my opinion, to any component of business, and even if that means being on site and working more, again, that's another form of that personal touch. It will only
it's just an advantage.
Be more successful.
Exactly. And looking at people now, where they have to, like, how they decide where they're going to go. They can go anywhere they want.
There's a million choices.
They can message any promoter online, and chances are they're going to respond and help them out. Like, just find the flyer and go, right? So any kind of touches in between are kind of like the advantage that you'll make, right? So,
and Toronto's a massive city.
Yeah.
There's so many options. We're not living in, you know, some obscure...
It's massive, but it's small at the same time.
It is.
Because I feel like, especially along King Street, everybody knows each other to some extent, whether they know you personally or know of you.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm curious to ask you is, and obviously I'm going to know a little bit of your answer. We work with you with some of your venues on the social media side of things, but how has that kind of taken your venues or your business to the next level? Like, have you seen, outside of what we do, because of course you've seen growth. Shout out.
Shout out. I was going to give you the shout out, but you did it yourself.
Yeah, I had to do it later. I had to get to myself.
Remind people, yeah. But, neighborhood.co.
But you know, how have you seen growth in that? Like, I'm sure even with like EFS and stuff, when you have these big artists come through in the city, and then that's plastered all over social media after. You know, what are those effects? How does that?
And like the photo albums from like your weeklies and stuff like that, and book, like you said, booking all these DJs, programming different things on a weekly basis. Like social media comes key with that.
It's instrumental. Like you literally like can't survive without it. I mean, if anyone thinks that you can, I mean, they're foolish, and they're going to be out of business very soon. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like it's not just about throwing any content up. Like I used to, when I first thought, I was like, oh yeah, we'll just put anything up and we'll just keep bombarding them. Which, look, it's important. Always be top of mind, for sure. Yeah. But at the same time, you want to put out quality content, right? Like you want people, because people's short, like kind of mindset is like just zoom through your Instagram or any sort of your other flat platforms, and you have like 2-3 seconds, if that, to get their attention, right? So you can't really bombard them with so much information. So what you're putting out has to be strong, has to be appealing, and relatable, obviously. But then when you're tying it in with, specifically from a club perspective, with different artists or performers or anybody who show, any celebrities that you may have hosting the night, people are drawn to that, right? I mean, so it's important to get that out there and people see it. And again, it's all about those impressions. The more impressions you get, the more successful your business is going to be ultimately. I mean, you still have to have the product to back it up. Of course. Right? Because you can have the best social media in the world, and if your product sucks, I mean, look, it'll get you.
Let me counter that quick. Let me counter. Your product could be okay, and you can have a great social media and be successful. The product matters though, 100%. But for sure, tying on that, like when I think of nightclubs now, it's not really about how nice the place looks, and you know what I mean, like the actual environment itself or the prices. It's more about who's going there, and that's it, and the experience they get from it, right? Like so. Yeah,
because they want to. If it ain't on the gram, did it really even happen, right? People want to be able to post the fact that I saw this celebrity, or I took a picture with this celebrity.
I took a Snapchat of him, right? And even tying into food, like there's a lot of places that don't have the best food, but their social media is really good and they're successful.
Of course,
right?
Of course. And look, I was going to get to that, right? Yeah. It was about, you need to, if it's terrible, I mean,
of course,
nothing's going to help you.
Well, you get the customer once, but
you won't come back.
Exactly.
Right? And if you're okay, then. But your social media is now. Imagine you have a great product and great social media. I mean, that's a recipe for ultimate success.
That's the goal, right?
But you're always working towards. It's never going to be perfect. You know what I mean? At the Good Son, specifically, one of my brands, the food is unbelievable. And I know it sounds biased, but I think
I agree. I can attest to that. Yeah.
So, and like we're always evolving and trying to make our food better, and we're always trying to evolve and make our social media better. You know what I mean? All of our marketing, rather, because social media is one component to marketing.
Yeah,
it's the most important component for me. At least.
Right now, at this time. Yeah.
But but it's still, there's other things that you can do outside of that, right?
Of course.
But it all ties back, because then that's the way that you get that messaging across to your I guess followers,
of course,
right? Like they'll be able to. How else are you going to get them to see it? Because email obviously is another method, but not as easily accessible, right?
What would you say to somebody who's maybe opening a restaurant? Okay, it's a weird time to do that right now, but I mean,
it's going to happen eventually. Like
exactly, somebody who's opening a restaurant or looking into that business, or whether it's even the nightclubs or anything hospitality related. What would you say to someone who's like, well, I can kind of wait to get my social media going.
Don't wait.
Get someone.
That's the most important thing. Yeah. Like, build that. It's an investment. You know what I mean? It truly is an investment. Like, even in the hard times, even right now, you know what I mean? Reinvest, put money into it, because the results that you'll see from it will be exponential versus the results that you'll see if you don't.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it's also tough, right? Because a lot of things, if you're running a social media account, you can't generally put a number on how much revenue you gain from that, right? It's very long term and sort of like a brand building thing, right?
Like you can see, right, like what your ROI is going to be in terms of, like, if I spend $1,000 this month and I don't spend $1,000 next month, I'm just throwing out random numbers, right? And ads, generally, I mean, you want to be able to track it as much as you can.
Of course.
Some of the things are untrackable, but you can see spikes if you do it a certain post. Let's say I post a pizza today, the expectation is that I'll sell more pizzas today than tomorrow, right? So you need to be able to. It's not just about doing it and not monitoring it, because then there's no point. Then some of it you're just burning money, right? You need to be always monitoring, analyzing,
learn
seeing
about
what you're doing.
working.
Exactly. And testing, right? Like it's A/B testing. You put out 2 ads, you see which one converts better than the other one, and then you just grow from that. And then it's always about fine tuning and perfecting all aspects of your business.
Of course. And it's funny you say that, because you're actually doing that right now. You've actually invested a lot into your company's socials right now, right? And a lot of people are doing the opposite at this time. A lot of people just said, yo,
if it was up to me, we would even do more. It's just not, sometimes you're handicapped.
But it's still good, because you saw the importance of it, right? Like a lot of people that have disappeared online throughout these last 3-4 months, when time comes to open again, you're going to be in their mind when it comes down to
everyone
what
else
club
is going to have to try to get refamiliarized.
Exactly,
try to refamiliarize people with your brand.
And people's attention span is literally nothing. So you kind of disappear online for maybe a week or 2 weeks, and people are already forgetting about you, right? So I think that's an important thing to kind of mention, and the fact that you've taken the step and said, you know what, we should actually go a little bit harder online at this time, even though you may have taken a hit on it or an investment, whatever it may be, but it's important to keep it going, especially at this time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What I'm curious about is, especially this is more on the nightclub side of things, like, how is it looking for you guys, if you have any idea post-COVID? Like, what is there any word from the government? Idea. Like nothing from them?
I mean, look, they've always kind of said that that's going to be the last phase. I mean, our whole industry is based around social undistancing, not social distancing, right?
Exactly.
Who wants to go to a club or a bar and have it be half empty? So
based on people,
But it's about anything else, right? Like, it's just about figuring out a way to pivot your business to be able to adapt to whatever kind of cards that you're dealt with. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. I mean, you can't change what the government is. I mean, you can. You're going to lobby. You're going to speak to counselors, this, that, and the next. But, I mean, assuming that nothing happens, you still have to deal with what's at hand.
Well, because I'm just thinking, pretty much what you said. Like, I can't imagine going to a club like EFS, for example, where you could fucking slam 1,000 people in there if you want to, whatever the number is, and then there was
a meme the other day I saw. It was like something along like every club pretending to be a restaurant after COVID is over,
exactly.
Right? Like, I mean, look, that
it's adapting.
You have to at the same time. Like, you still have your responsibilities to pay your rent, you have certain obligations that you have to pay. It's not just like, okay, fine, we're not open, so, and never mind that people, ourselves as ownership, our managers, our staff, everybody has a reliance on that income. So I feel like I have a responsibility to them as well to make sure that we can get reopened so that everyone can start, renewing their lives, because people, like, even the marketing agencies that we maybe work with, et cetera, like, everybody wants to move on, but it is what it is. I mean, it's for people's safety. I understand. I'm not going to get into the politics of COVID or not COVID or whatever the case may be. It is what it is. So we just have to figure out a way to adapt and move forward. So whether that requires us to stay kind of top of mind with different sort of promotions and marketing and staying relevant.
Yeah. No, we've been doing the same thing. We've been focusing a lot of this time on like just business development and setting it up for that day that it kind of does go back to normal, whenever that happens, if it happens, and
it
how
will.
it happens.
It will. It has to. I mean, maybe not tomorrow, but it will.
No, for sure. But
the new normal. I
it
guess.
looks. Yeah, but I hate that. I hate hearing that. I don't.
You just can't sit there and wait for it to be over. You gotta just like
look. We're gonna have to create our new normal, whatever it is. You know, it may be the same, but it may be better.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. The way it's looking,
see.
no. But
I'm just trying to stay positive.
of course.
Fair.
Cut me a break.
Optimism.
Question for you: out of all the projects or venues that you've done and opened, which one was your favorite? And don't worry, you could be biased on one.
No, for sure. I mean, look,
I know what he's gonna say.
No. Each one is different.
They're literally
each one is
all
different. Obviously, the Good Son is one brand that has the most scalability that I'm most proud of, because we get so much praise.
And I think the coolest brand.
Yeah.
Like from a brand aspect, it has the coolest.
But there's
brand.
one, unfortunately, that's shut down. That was my favorite.
I
Was
know
the Addisons.
Yeah, I knew it.
Because that was just such a unique. And thanks, Ernesto, for that.
As if I shut down the fucking Addisons.
But that was my favorite, and it's just a shame because it was such a unique venue that we haven't been able to replicate. It's turning into a cat park now, but it is what it is.
But what does that mean, a cat park?
No, it's a little bit more complicated. I mean, it was part of the development that was happening at the corner that had they had a responsibility. Long story.
Well,
anyways, they owned the land. They needed to donate it back to the city. The city in turn wanted to turn into a cat park.
Well, maybe for anyone who doesn't know, the Addison was on Wellington, right? And it was it looked like a
party bar,
a cool like backyard.
It was like a bungalow with a crazy.
It was like a 1970s, 1980s home.
Yeah,
the play on it was, the Addisons were out of town, and they were always throwing cool parties. So even indoors, it was meant to be. It looked like a home,
like a house.
Right?
Yeah,
you walk in, there was the kitchen, there was the living room, and there was the party room, and then there was the backyard.
Yeah. The backyard was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, for any, I had my son's baptism there. You know what I mean? Crazy. It was so versatile. Like, we were doing so much business for corporate business. That's the biggest part, right? Like the nightclub, it was literally run as two separate venues, as a corporate venue and as a nightlife venue.
And it probably worked perfect for corporate events.
Oh,
right?
it was perfect. Because aesthetically, it was stunning.
Yeah. It could fit so many people.
It had, and versatile in terms of size, because we can block off the rooms inside, outside, depending on how you wanted to play with it. We had a kitchen, and it was quite close to the business district, so that it was right there, right? So people could get over easily. We did a ton of TIFF events. We had every celebrity you can imagine. We hosted the LA Times there during their junkets there during TIFF.
The Ciroc events. I remember I went to that one Ciroc event.
We did a whole bunch of events. So we did some jukebox events there. So.
Some jukebox events got out of hand.
Some jukebox boxing matches.
I think we hit like the max amount of people that have ever been in there, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic.
You think you'll ever have a chance
we've
to
always
replicate
talked about replicating the brand. It's just about finding a location that can
handle it.
Can happen, because who wouldn't want to do it, right? Everyone from the ownership side loved it, and everyone from anybody who went there loved it. So
and the way you guys structured it was a moneymaker, like with the corporates and with the weeklies plus special events. Like it was the versatility, I guess, of the venue.
And it's not like we got into it with the expectation, and it's like anything else. Like we keep talking about pivoting and be able to adapt. And it was the same thing, right? We got into it. We wanted to turn it into a party bar because we had EFS, that partnership group that I'm in. We had EFS, and we didn't necessarily want to compete with one another, so we needed to find that kind of like an alternative option for people who, not everybody likes EFS. Not everyone's going to go and want to do bottle service or whatever the case may be. Some people wanted more of a relaxed setting, so it worked out perfectly.
And it wasn't so clubby.
It wasn't
at Addison's,
right?
You could pull it off as a bar,
and that's why they complemented each other. So I think all of our venues in our kind of portfolio, regardless of what it is, they all kind of complement each other, because there's not two of the same.
They have their own vibe. They all have their own vibe.
The Good Son, I guess we haven't really talked about the brands, but the Good Son restaurant, we have two locations. We have the pizza spot at the Assembly Chef's Hall. We have Mrs. Robinson, which is honestly one of the most beautiful venues.
Very unique as well.
So it's like another party bar, but a little geared towards a little bit older clientele.
That's like cocktails,
live music,
a
lot of beautiful cocktails. Convenience, which is again a resto bar, Queen West vibe, beautiful, amazing patio
type almost.
Wayward is like a smaller club, more like New York vibe. Lower ceiling, smaller room, amazing hip hop. EFS is obviously the mega club.
Yeah.
Mega club relative to Toronto,
Of course.
right? I mean, not many clubs bigger than that, but
I'd say for that class of club, it's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Like you're not comparing it to Rebel, and that's like
exactly. And then I'm a partner at another vegetarian restaurant called Shook at King Portland.
It made a lot of noise when it
did. We had an unfortunate incident with a little fire in the hood. We're going through renovation now. We'll be reopened soon.
Nice, cool. Yeah, because I remember when that dropped. Like,
food was unbelievable.
That was everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever do something that's not food or nightlife?
I mean,
like, have you ever wanted to dabble upon a different industry?
We evolved different things. I mean, we developed an app, but again, it's called Mr. Black. It's a hospitality management application. It's in like 6 countries around the world. A ton of venues, about 50, 60
I remember
venues.
when you guys first started that too. That's crazy. And then you guys went to the States and got it all around there too.
So that, but again, it's still in the same industry.
I guess that's tech, though.
I have Exodus, which is like a party weekend in Vegas. We've evolved from one weekend. We started with 150 people on our first year, 11 years ago now. We do about 2,000 people now on some of our busier weeks, but we do it 4 times a year now. Again, that's on hold because of COVID.
So anyone who wants to go to Vegas, hit up Sako.
That's it. We started an event called Dinner with a View.
I was going to ask you about that. I was curious.
So somebody else, my partner started that, and then I've recently got more and more involved into it. Dinners. So the concept actually originated in Europe. There was one venue that had a permanent installation of these dinners in these geodesic domes, and we kind of took the idea, added it with celebrity chefs, and did one in Toronto. Partnership with them.
Went really well here.
Yeah, it was killer. Did it in Montreal. So far I've done Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa and Calgary are smaller. Those were the test markets originally. We did Vancouver, we did San Diego, and then we were setting up for Chicago. And then again, COVID, and then we had to tear down. And then we had plans for LA, Halifax, Winnipeg.
Holy shit.
So what's the plan with that? Are you trying to do a different city every year? Or
No, we do like 4 or 5 cities. We want to do like up to 6 cities a year if we can.
Damn.
But you can't really do them in the summer because it's too hot. So you have to kind of
pick. Dome was fucked.
Yeah. But it's great in the winter, and it looks stunning. It's beautiful. We're always associated with like a very picturesque location, and we're at least with a beautiful view, and we always complement it with. It's not about the chef; it's about the experience. But we always complement it with an amazing chef, whether it be a Top Chef winner or a finalist or any other celebrity chef.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does the process work for that? Do you do it for like a weekend?
No, it's typically about a month activation.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
So people can just kind of reserve.
Yeah, so you reserve in advance. You book the dome, and then you can do anywhere between 4 and 6 people within each dome. And then since we have these domes, I don't know if you've seen on social media, we haven't even discussed the Elements Outdoor Studio.
Okay.
We're doing the hot yoga event. Well, fitness studio outdoors. So we repurpose the domes that we have.
That's amazing.
And again, another pivot.
Adapting. Yeah. That's amazing.
What are you guys doing with them exactly?
So same idea. So throughout the, I guess, quarantine, a lot of people weren't able to work out or focus on even their mental health, right? You really need to do stuff. So we really wanted to focus on that. So we wanted to repurpose the dome. So now we have 50 domes set up at the Hotel X in the North Plaza. And tomorrow's our PR event. And next week we launch officially. Well, Sunday we launch officially our first classes. We have anywhere between 4 and 6 classes a day.
That's amazing.
And that's going to last about 6 weeks. So we're doing
that's dope.
Well, yoga and different type of
so same thing. People can just go on, reserve the time.
Exactly, and it's 1 person per dome. So we maintain social distancing.
Cool.
And they're cleaned right after. They're thoroughly deep cleaned after every single usage. So
and I guess
and sanitized.
That's kind of like what they're led by. I think it's a class led by.
That's right, an instructor.
Cool.
Instructor, and there's a list. We have 40 different instructors.
Wow,
all
amazing.
Either have their own studios or they're reputable.
Personal brand, and they're cool. That's dope, man. So when's that starting up? Like when? So
you can book right. It opened yesterday.
Okay.
We started taking bookings. Sorry, on Monday. Yeah. Yes. Started taking book reservations on Monday. Sorry. And or yesterday. Sorry.
Yeah.
Started taking reservations yesterday. We sold 5,000 spots in the first day.
Wow.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
I was gonna say save me a spot, but like, yo, I guess not, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. So that's going on for a month.
Yeah.
6
Nice.
weeks.
That's cool.
So
Are you
month
gonna
now.
try and take that to somewhere else, or are you guys kind of just doing that right now because it's COVID and social distancing and a way to use the domes?
Did I say 5,000? I meant to say 500. I
Okay,
don't know
well.
why I said 500. I was just like, wait, I said that wrong.
500 is still
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That's still a lot. That's still so
500
much.
is still ridiculous. So I guess you guys are obviously seeing some sort of success from it. You're thinking to continue running that, or you're saying fuck
You
it?
know what? You confused me now. Let me check this math here. I'm like,
5,000 domes.
That's a lot of domes.
That's a lot of fucking.
No,
domes.
I don't think it's. I think he's saying reservation.
Yeah, 5,000 reservations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably got to do that again, man.
Yeah. So we're that worked out pretty good. Can't
Nice.
complain.
Okay. So I guess that answered my question of like pivoting in different industries, and it just kind of happens once you start adapting. You just kind of figure out ways to get involved in other stuff. That's fitness. That's fitness and health.
See, the idea is ultimately we'll be able to invest in more domes if it proves to be successful and we want to do it in different cities or whatever the case may be. But obviously if we need the domes for the dinner event, that's our primary focus. But we may have stumbled upon something else that works.
Could just be part of your brand now. Everything with a view.
Yeah.
Yoga with a view. Dinner with a view.
That's it.
So you guys literally package these domes up and ship them out to different cities?
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
That's exactly what it is. So they're all in self-contained. And the domes that we have, they're not like these vinyl ones that you just pop up, and because they are those cheap ones. There's another company
like
that
tents.
there's another company out there that copied our concept, and they do these cheap version. Ours are actually like,
And the tents are like they're like blowing away with the wind.
ours are literally like the hexagons need to be put in one by one. Each one has to be put together by hand, one piece
So
at
is
a
that
time.
you doing that?
It's not me. I know I talked about leading by example, but that's one that I definitely don't lead by example.
Sit back on that one. No, it's good.
That's dope. I'm like, I want to go to that now. To be honest, I don't
So
know why
let's
you
do
didn't even tell me
So
about
book
that.
the
We're gonna
fuck. Book the
I saw it on
fucking.
Steve's story. I'm like, yo, what?
I don't know why. I guess you don't follow me. You didn't check my
I saw it.
stories.
Gotta get more active, Sako, on the gram. You know?
Okay, so if you had to choose today
Mm-hmm.
for any of your venues to open officially, which one is
Look,
it?
I mean,
can't do that. You can't ask
but
me that.
You
look, I
have
can
to.
tell you. I can tell you this. Anything with, this is what I'll say. Anything that has more alcohol involved, obviously, is a more profitable business.
Sure.
So that's the route that I would say,
Okay.
Of course.
is easiest.
CFS.
No, I can't just say one or the other. But I'm just saying anything with
Sure. No, you know what? Like obviously, your restaurants are up and running right now,
Yeah,
right?
so we're doing
not to
takeout
full
and
capacity,
delivery.
right? But
and
they're there.
hopefully patios opening. We're expecting them to announce on Monday. Well, I don't know when this is going to go, but
Yeah.
we're expecting them to announce this Monday that by next Friday,
Mhm.
patios will be open. The expectation, because it's opened up everywhere else in Ontario.
Well, yeah,
It's
they're
just
fucking
holding
opening
back-
everything but
they're
Toronto.
holding
The
back
most,
Toronto.
the
Well,
most
even up
important
north,
city.
they were all open. Those
Oh,
patios.
York
weren't they?
Regions opens this
Yeah.
Friday, so
I mean, I'm just confused on it.
I think the patio's gonna start up, and then they're gonna kind of just let people.
But how does
open
that?
slowly.
How does that?
I don't know why the patio is any different from being inside with the same amount of people.
And
Straight
you know,
up, I have no
and
idea.
what happens when it rains?
Yeah, wait, everyone just gotta leave.
Everyone has to go inside, so they're allowing you to use the inside if it rains.
What?
Yeah,
This is
so if it
ridiculous.
rains, you can move inside. So
Make it rain.
yeah, so
Let's make it rain.
EFS this Friday.
Make it rain.
Tony Monaco.
Just open up every time you see that it's gonna rain. Open up your patios.
that's it.
Because then you
That's
can
it.
open up the inside.
That's
Um,
unreal.
Okay, so what about like someone that's maybe in promoting right now and they're thinking about opening up a club? What kind of advice would you have for them? Or
Yeah,
even not just club, anything hospitality really? Because
Yeah, I mean,
restaurants.
just look. It's be careful. Don't jump into it because I see a lot of people. Make sure you have a great partnership because it's hard to do by yourself, and there has to be a true synergy, right? Like 1 + 1 = 3, not 1 + 1 = 2. When two people coming together, they ultimately create something even more special or magical. I mean,
course.
I don't want to sound too cliche here, but whatever the case may be in that sense. But because otherwise you don't need you need to have complementary partnerships really to create that synergy, right? Because if I can do what you do, I don't need you, or if you can do what I like,
Of
vice
course.
versa. It's not
It's
really
just wasted
necessary.
space.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
partner up with people that will bring something to the table. It's important. I'm very, very fortunate that all my partners, all my businesses, they all bring something to the table, and we don't really have that issue. But that could be a potential headache down the road. So choose your partners wisely. Make sure you do your research before jumping into things, because it's really easy to just say, hey, yeah, let's go open up a place over there. Well, is there a demographic for it? Is there a need for it? Is there a demand for it? Calculate what your costs are. Really get really into the numbers.
I think that's a big thing. A lot of people don't realize how much money
beforehand.
it
Like, you
costs.
got to do it beforehand.
Yeah,
not
before,
like
not after you've already signed. Oh shit! You
Yeah,
know,
like, oh, shit, it
that's what
costs this
insurance
much?
is.
Yeah,
You know. Oh
So do
wow,
your
there's
homework.
these kind of taxes. Yeah, these are all real things.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it too. You know,
Of
there's
course.
been instances.
You learn.
It's a
but you're
learning curve,
learning.
yeah.
Exactly. And then from there, it's just, you know, make sure you invest into marketing. Make sure you hire Neighborhood to do your social media. And all
This
your-
is not
for
a
all
paid
your marketing
advertisement.
needs.
This is not a paid advertisement. I swear to God. Sako, $200 coming your way.
Yeah.
Slide it under the table.
Yeah, no, because you know what? I talk to a lot of promoters and stuff like that, and I think the first thing they say when they get into the world of promotions, they're just like, I want to have my own club, right? But they don't know all the stuff that comes with that, right? So I guess a big part of it is kind of doing it and learning it. At the same time, be
cheap.
smart and
don't be cheap. Really, like, you got to be able to reinvest. I mean, the biggest thing that I learned, the reason why I feel like I became most successful, one of the reasons while I was promoting is I used to make money, but then I used to go out and spend all that money that I made. Even I used to go to other parties that I wasn't throwing, and just, you know,
Spend more
buying
money.
bottles or buying drinks and making sure everyone was having a good time. It wasn't my party, but I felt like it was my party.
Of
you know what I
course,
mean?
yeah.
Meet the doorman, grease him, whatever. I used to take protein bars for them
Yeah.
before, you know, just to get some form. My buddy worked at GNC and he used to get deals, so he used to go there, hand him a box of protein bars so he could skip the line.
Imagine you tried to do that in today's day. Bring some protein bars to Barry. Yo, bro, here, take 2 of these, bro. Just you can let me in, bro. It's fucking Cliff bars.
That wasn't close. It was better than that. It had
No,
good
I know.
taste, but jeez. So that's the important thing, and I see it, you know, even now, like, you know, promoters will be like, they'll go to another party and they'll just stand there waiting for something free or whatever it is. Guys, you got to reinvest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, a lot of them do it, but some of them don't. And you know, at the end,
I think it's about what you're trying to get out of promoting when you make that decision, right? Because like even me, like sometimes I would just be like, yo, you know what, Sako, don't even pay me, just give me more bottles,
Which
right?
is,
and
why did
a
you do
normal
that?
promoter would be like, what are you doing? Like, you're not going to get paid.
But why did you do that? Because you want to make sure your people had a great time.
Of course, so that the next time and the next time and the next time the
remember
trust
you.
keeps building, right? So I guess it's all about perspective about where you're trying to go, right? But it's a learning experience for sure. I mean, like
No, I think
for me, like I have some questions here about the clubs and stuff like that. We got into it a lot about clubs. I just want to hear more about like your experiences with these different brands that you've had, even like the event you have in Vegas. Like, how did that come about? And like how, like, because people might look at you and be like, how the fuck did you get an event in Vegas? How does that even make sense?
So I used to throw parties in Cancun.
Wow.
So before Vegas, so that was so much fun. You know, I went there on a trip once with another group, another promoter, which I won't say who it is because he's like 90, and he's still promoting. Anyways, nice guy. Don't get me wrong, but anyways, let's move on past that. So we were went down with him. At the time, met a promoter in Cancun. There was no parties being thrown in Cancun, so he was like, you know what, like, you know, come to this club, figure it out. So I used to gather everyone. It's just my character again. Like, even when we do like family trips or friends trips, I'm the one, like a group of 10 guys. I'm the organizer. This club, this restaurant. I love restaurants. Love restaurants. This hotel. This. Like, I'm the schedule guy, right? Like, that's just my personality. That I like being organized in that sense and knowing what I'm doing at every, you know, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. It's a little bit OCD, but whatever. So we were there. So we were organizing people, bringing them to the clubs, and then we found out this guy was making money off us. I'm like, damn, this guy's making money. Why do I need this guy? Let me see if I can figure out a way to do it myself. So got back, called the guy that was the other organizer that was also not making money, or maybe he was and just not telling me, but I don't think he was, because he was upset when he found out the other guy was making cash. And I'm like, you want to do this together? He goes, no, I don't need you. I'll do it myself, blah, blah, blah. Because he was getting like free trips at the time. You know, you get 10 guys, you get one free, whatever.
Yeah.
So I started cold calling different agencies and seeing who's going to... who will like hook me up, do something, right? So I found this guy in Ottawa. Says, I'll do the same thing with you. Came down first year, brought 150 people.
Holy fuck.
150 people. And good-looking people, let me tell you that.
This is to Cancun.
To Cancun.
Oh, wow. Shit, okay.
And everyone was like, all the clubs were like dying to let us in, paying us good money. So now all of a sudden this became a business, created a brand.
Sure. What was it called?
Exit to Cancun.
Exit to Cancun.
Yeah.
Wow.
So because we were like exit 2, because then the idea was, and I knew nothing, right? It was just like, this is like 18 years ago. It was like exit to Cancun.com, and it was like exit to Vegas, exit to whatever.
Miami,
like
whatever.
The idea, there was a logic
Expansion
to it, right? It was about scaling it out eventually. So we did it. It evolved, and then as we got older, we kept doing that. But as we got older, our friends didn't want to go to Cancun anymore. And naturally, the evolution is, you know, the
Vegas.
Cancun of adults is for adults is Vegas.
Yeah.
So came together with a bunch of groups in Toronto, different promoters. That's how that started, and you know, a bunch of promoters. We created this brand. We called it Exodus, and that evolved, like I said, from 1 trip a year to 4 trips a year. Now we're creating a second brand specific called the Desert Drip. So that's not even out yet. You're the first one to hear about it. So that's going to be our
first on MBH podcast. You heard it.
That's going to be our hip hop weekend.
Okay.
Because Exodus is more EDM focused. Because I mean, all clubs in Vegas are generally EDM focused.
So this will
be starting in 2021. Same concept.
Same concept, but in Vegas, hip hop focused though. Cool.
So a different demographic.
Yeah.
But again, we invest heavily into our digital marketing. Into our social media. Those are our main driving forces, and obviously making sure that people are having a good time, right? Like our offering is very unique. You buy a wristband, shameless plug here, but you know, we sell your wristband, you know, anywhere between $50 and $150, depending on when you buy it, how many you buy, etc. Let's just say, and you literally don't have to wait in line. You don't have to pay cover, and you walk right in to the busiest clubs on the busiest nights. So whether it be Tiesto, like people will be out there, you know, Tiesto's huge in Vegas. Tiesto, Calvin Harris, David Guetta, whatever the case may be, you know, they're paying $200-$250. Chain smokers. These are all, you know, shows that are in our lineup.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, normal cover just to get into one of those.
Like 50. It ranges. Like if you buy it in advance, it's like $50. If you buy it at the door, it's like $250. With ours,
if you just show up,
you're paying less for the whole weekend, and you just walk right in. You don't have to wait in line. And never mind, if you show up with a group of 10 guys, you know how Vegas is. You're not getting in unless.
The problem is I don't know how Vegas is.
That's my problem too. That's my problem.
I got 3 wristbands with your name on it.
Done. Let's do it.
So they can just get a wristband and gives them all the kind of club access. Do you offer them like bottle service as well and stuff?
Yeah, it's an additional option if they want. In Cancun was different, right? Cancun, you
don't really need bottle service.
It was the same idea. We sold it was like $210, got you into the 7 parties a week. There was no real day parties at the time. That's, you know, now it's evolved as well. Cancun's evolved. I've been there a couple of times since. But in Cancun, it was all inclusive in terms of drinking as well, whereas in Vegas it's not.
Yeah.
Basically, you need to sell your leg to buy a bottle, but
come on,
it's not cheap. Yeah. Toronto, we're very fortunate what bottles cost. I mean, you're talking
people
about
are fucking cheap here. They're like, $220.
$220, you can't even get a drink.
Yeah,
it's from Vegas. It's insane.
Water.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to come with you.
Yeah.
So can they get like hotels and stuff like that too?
So
like,
we have a full service on our website, exoduslasvegas.com.
There you
go. And you can literally buy the entire trip. We have different kind of other options, shows, attractions, things of that nature, activities that you can also purchase. But that's not really our driving force. I mean, the clubs. Of course, is really
the big piece.
And, the pool parties.
Everything else is just additions and bonuses.
Exactly.
Nice. Okay.
Fuck, man.
I got another question.
You're smiling, which means I don't know if you're throwing me on the bus or what's going to happen.
No. I just wanted to ask you if there was anyone while you were growing up, or not even growing up, just kind of doing all these things with different venues that you looked up to, whether you actually knew them or was someone that you didn't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, again, there was no social media as much, so I didn't really have that opportunity to really see whether it be, you know, someone in Miami or whatever the case may be. But there was 2 people in Toronto that we worked quite closely. Their brand was called ZRF.
Okay.
It was Zark, Ralph, and Friends. they were kind of, I looked up to them in the sense that they were able to go from promoters to ownership themselves, and we had a lot in common. So we used to, as they started moving more into towards ownership, they started bringing us more and more onto their venues to promote their venues. They used to own Century Room, which became Everly. Yeah. They owned Kiwi, which became Portland Variety, which is now Ruby Soho. That's how old I am, just going back and back, right? But they used to throw the most legendary parties. You know, every week, every day of the week, they had the party to go to.
Wow.
And ultimately, when we turned our brand when we created our brand, our promotion brand, which was Dynamite Events.
Wow, solid name.
Yeah,
I remember that. I remember you had Dynamite.
So that was Oleg's name. That's what he was Dynamite Parties. We became, or Dynamite something. We became Dynamite Events, and it was the same thing. Any day of the week, if you wanted to go, we had the party.
So you were going 7 days a week?
There were some times that we were 7 days. Sometimes we had even more. We were doing like 2 parties on a Saturday.
You do like the
and we had literally like promote, like it doesn't really exist anymore, but we had like 10 promoters. Everyone had their own business cards. Like it was a business. You know what I mean?
It's different nowadays. Everyone's like their own.
And there was no per head deal. So we got a flat rate from the club. We used to pay every promoter, whether it be $150, $200. I mean, depending on how they did as well, right? Like, for sure. But it wasn't easily trackable like it is now, like Mr. Black, the app, where you can track everything. But before it was just kind of like, you had to take the word.
Yeah, how many people did he do?
Yeah, whatever.
You shouted out all your brands.
Isn't that what this is for?
100%. We should just put commercials. Sako's own commercials.
I can get a T-shirt with all them on there. Take a picture.
Start it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's true. Like, I mean, those guys, I've even heard of those guys. I don't know them personally, but I know that they were doing a lot in the industry before. I don't know what they're doing now.
They had Maison. I'm sure you remember Maison.
Maison, yeah.
So
Unreal,
Didn't they have Blowfish,
Hammam Spa. I mean, they've had different things that they've dabbled into. Now they've evolved into different things.
So you were working with them, and you're like, if these guys are doing it, we could do it too.
Yeah. That was looked up to them. They were stylish guy. Well, one of them was stylish, the other one. But he was stylish in his own way. But they had their own brands. They were cool. They were naturally cool. They weren't trying to be cool, and that was what attracted me most to that kind of lifestyle, right? Like these guys are not trying to be someone that they're not. This is
just
who
being
they really
genuine,
are, right? And you saw all the perks that came along with it as well. And I was like, that was cool. I mean, I have no problem saying I admired someone, to what they did and what they grew, and how they grew their business, So we were compared to them a lot. We were like the younger versions of them, and then we kind of took over when they kind of obviously eventually got out of the industry and got completely into ownership.
So what like now? What do you think? Like promotions, or from a promoter standpoint, what does that look like now going into the new normal?
I mean, there's still going to be a necessity because, like anything else, it's a way of getting the word out, right? There's only so much you can do through your own social channels or your own marketing networks. So there's always going to be a need for that, right?
But my question is like, okay, if your venue has to get chopped in half in terms of how many people can be in there, how can you then afford to pay a promoter? And if you can you pay them what you were paying them before?
Yeah, no. Most likely we can't.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right?
But so you're limited. They're limited in terms of what they can get paid too, because a lot of them were on per heads.
Sure.
So if your capacity went from 500 to 250, I mean, technically you could only let 250 people in. So if they were bringing in 250 before, now they're only going to be able to bring 125. Yeah. And if they bring all 250, it's great. It sucks for the next promoter.
Yeah.
So it might actually bring the cream to the top, as the saying goes.
Oh, okay.
So,
cream of the crop. Cream of the crop.
No, I don't think that's what the saying in this instance. I think the cream rises to the top or something. I don't know. Something like that.
Does the cream rise to the top?
Hope we rise to the top.
Something rises.
The cream of the crop rises to the top.
No, that's definitely not.
You like that one, dude?
Yeah, no, I was just curious.
So naturally, those guys that bring like 5 people, now we're going to bring 2 people, and they're...
Well, that's the thing. Like, we were having this conversation with a couple guys that we know and stuff, and just saying, like, if these clubs open and they can't even, do half of capacity...
But if you're good, think about it. If you're at half a capacity and you can go to a club that, let's say, has a capacity of 300 and you say, and their capacity 150, and you're good and you say, look, I'm going to fill up your whole club. You can now demand more, technically, and say, I'm going to fill this whole...
I'll be the one person to fill it. Don't worry about hiring anyone else and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then you as an owner, you're going to say, you're going to trust that guy every week to do that?
Well, I mean, look, I'm not, again, because I'm still relatively young and still in the know and still go out and still know a lot of these people, I kind of already know who does what, right? You kind of have that kind of understanding of this guy's talking shit or this guy's full of shit, or whatever,
fine.
blah blah blah. Because everybody has their spenders, you know.
You know what it might do though? It might actually get people.
Shout out Drew bringing in those spenders.
What I'm thinking is it might actually get people to show up earlier.
Yeah,
like people might actually, because if you want to get your people in,
you got to come earlier. It's great.
Better be there fucking 9:45.
Otherwise, someone else is going to be in there, and I can't get you in. Like,
exactly.
It's going to be a lot more strictly enforced.
I was going to say, you think there's going to be a lot more like or health Ministry of Health?
I don't know. I don't know when this is going to be. I mean, originally I said no chance till 2021. Because of the way the numbers are dipping now, I feel a lot more confident. There's a chance that we'll be able to reopen. I look at other cities because that's the best way to see and how they're kind of conforming to the new normal, and a lot of them have started opening up bars, clubs, restaurants, right? So bars and clubs specifically to this point, into this conversation. So they have started opening, some limited capacity, some without, right? So
I have a question for you. This one might be a little tough, but obviously over the last 2-3 weeks, there's been a lot of rioting and all that stuff in terms of the Black Lives Matters whole scenario and upheaval. So a lot of clubs have taken hits in terms of people coming out and trying to talk shit about this club that did this or this club that did that or whatever. So, you know, we won't get deep into it in terms of clubs, but did you think that there was some form of that going on in the club industry?
I mean,
what's your take on it?
Is it systematic in the sense that it's always pre-warned, you can't do this or you can't do that? I mean, I can only speak for the venues that I'm involved with, and we don't apply any sort of that kind of logic. You know, all of our venues are all very culturally diverse clientele, so we don't necessarily have that issue. Our staff, even our ownership, you know what I mean? So it's the way that you kind of, it's trickle down effect, right? In that hierarchy and how you treat your staff, talk to your staff, employ the different type of people. So it all kind of happened. Can I say surely that it hasn't happened somewhere or is still not going to happen? I can't say that because I'm sure it will. Different places. I can just speak on our behalf, and I know that's not something that we stand for or believe in.
Absolutely.
You know
what I think Toronto is one of the most obviously multicultural cities in the world. So
for sure,
I think here a lot of people are understanding what's going on, and for me, like I've always grown up with so many different people around me, you know, different cultures and stuff like that. So for me, it's like it's not a big, like what's happening is a big deal, but I've never looked at it that way because I've never thought that way, you know. But it's a real thing.
No, I think you're right. I think in Toronto, it's we're not shocked by it because we understand that it does happen. I think, and I might get blasted, I think it's a little bit less in Canada than it is in the States. Like I would think that it's worse in the States, but obviously there are things that happen here, and that's
for sure we're way more liberal. We're way more liberal country than
right.
But
I guess even from an outside perspective, I was even surprised because I guess the way we were brought up in Toronto wasn't really the way that we thought, right? I was never brought up in a racist or a weird way in that sense. It was always just like, everyone, there's white people, there's black people.
Like it sucks.
No,
we need to change it.
It's
right?
real. No, it's real, and it needs change. I just think for a lot of people, they're looking at it and saying, I mean, I have black friends, I have white friends, I have Chinese friends, I have Spanish friends, I have every type of, so.
And they're just like, how is this even still going on?
How are people still doing this?
It's like crazy.
How are people still doing
like,
this?
how does somebody actually, like, again, not getting too much into the politics of it, but like, how does someone actually think that they're better than the next person because of the color of their skin?
I'm looking at the stuff going on in the States, and it's like I can't even believe it feels like a movie. Like it feels like we're watching a movie.
Yeah, like you don't believe, like what?
Like a cop actually said that or did that, or this random person is walking around saying what?
And the more, like, there's a lot of other things, like, Netflix, now that we've been home and just Netflix and chilling all the time. There's so many documentaries out there, so many amazing things. And you just watch and you're like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? Like,
we gotta educate yourself, right? And that's the good thing is that we obviously have the.
I watched that one with Jay-Z produced. It's called Time. It's about the kid.
I've seen it. I haven't watched it.
So the kid was in jail for stealing a he was accused of stealing a backpack. He was in jail for like 3 years, and he just never got his day in court. They just kept postponing, and I think 300 of the days, so almost a year. He was 16 when he went to jail. They were in solitary confinement. So imagine being in a box with You can't see anybody.
Can't
or
do
whatever.
nothing.
You can't do
Can't talk to
nothing. Yeah, fucks
At
with your
16,
head. You
yeah.
know, the kid tried to commit suicide multiple times or whatever the case may be. Like, it's just, you know.
There's so much stuff we don't know
Yeah.
out there, right? So I think it's best everyone just educates themselves as much as possible. Watch the news, watch different things, right? Because like there's so many different perspectives. You could watch one
have
news
one
channel
perspective and then the next
that just
one is
does one
completely
perspective,
different.
exactly, right? So I think younger generations understand that though, because we grew up online and we see all these different things happening, so we don't have that one perspective. But some like my parents, for example, they watch one channel and now they believe everything that channel says.
My mom is the same way. She'll come to me. She's like, "You gotta have Tylenol." This is when COVID first started. You gotta have Tylenol every day. I'm like, "What?" I read that if you have Tylenol, you won't get COVID.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?"
Oh, you can't use Advil
Or
now.
drink lemons. So it was
Yeah.
like she was like the house was full of lemons and Advil and Tylenol everywhere.
When I see something on one platform,
I'd be in the shower. She'd be standing there with a glass of lemon and and a Tylenol.
That's amazing.
No, I mean, when I see one thing on one platform, like you take it with a grain of salt because you go onto another platform or another media outlet and it's just like the complete opposites going on, right? And they're both real, right? So, yeah, man, it's a messed up time. I think that we got a lot to learn and a lot to change here in Toronto too.
Yeah, it's just
the state's got to fucking change everything, but they just got to they need a rebrand.
Yeah.
The state's
They
gonna need
need
a
to come to
rebrand.
neighborhood for a new brand. And see what we can.
But I don't even know if we can help them.
No, we could do help them 100%.
Don't ever say that again. We
Can we edit that part out, please?
Chop it, bring it back. No, but I mean, look, we're in a weird place with COVID and obviously the Black Lives Matters thing that's going on right now and trying to educate people and upheave the bullshit that's happening. So I think it's a good time now to reinvest in yourself as a person, and that means educating yourself and taking more time to learn things all across the board, and then from a business standpoint to set yourself up for post-COVID, whenever that is. Hopefully that's soon.
Yeah, and as a business, educate your staff and have that culture where there's no racism at all, you know. I think that's an important thing as a business owner too, to kind of relay that to everyone that you're connected to and portray that as a brand too, right? So I think a lot of businesses are now starting to do it. Hopefully it's for the right intention, not just to do it, right? But you never know. You can't really complain at this point as long as people are supporting.
We were called
more
out.
than they were before.
We were called out a couple times, saying people were like, "Oh, is this something like?" Because we've been, active socially talking about it with different, fundraisers and whatnot. Things are going on. People literally ask, "Is this something? Is just a one-time thing, or is this something that you're planning on doing long term?" And I understand where people are coming from. That's a valid question to ask, right? Because a lot of people are just doing it because it's on trend.
Yeah.
Exactly,
of course. And especially as a brand that has that kind of influence over people, and people are looking to brands to make that change and kind of.
Well, look, the first thing is this. Obviously, a lot of brands are doing this stuff. Or
we're hoping
we're hoping that it's not just that it's on trend, but I think obviously beyond that, the biggest thing you can do is change as a person and act properly as a person.
Well, that's the whole point, right? Isn't that the whole point of a protest or people speaking and everyone, posting this on? So if you can change one person, then you've done something.
It's a trickle effect too.
It's not going to happen overnight because this is years and years and years of
this situation,
of a way of life, right? If you want to call it that. And as we get older, I want to pass down to my children that this is, everyone is equal, everyone is the same, and if they're not hearing anything and they won't know any different, right? To them,
they're born that way.
It's just, it is what it is. If it's black, white, brown, yellow, purple, pink, whatever the case may be, I mean, that's just another person. There was something I saw, again, going back to Instagram, because I see everything on Instagram, but it was a dad, he brought his kid in, there was 4 pictures on the screen. He goes, "What do you see different in these 4 pictures?" Right? And the kid couldn't identify anything different, and it was a black kid and a white kid, and he was testing just to see if you at any point was going to say that kid is black, but it was just that kid's smiling, that kid's sad, that kid's this, that kid's
red
that,
t-shirt,
whatever.
black t-shirt,
and not one time did he say, and that was like, that resonated with me, to like, you know what, I aspire to be that way for my children, to grow up that way, to be able to see,
it all comes when they're younger and
it's not a matter of not being able to identify that person's black, white, and next. I mean, that's kind of silly too. You should be able to see that person's black, but just because they're black doesn't make them any different.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, oh, I don't see color or whatever. Well, no, you should see that this person is black, this person is white, whatever.
They have different cultures. They have different.
But it shouldn't matter.
And I think it's our responsibility as business owners who employ people to keep that.
And even as a parent, like that you brought up, that's huge, because I think that the youth, especially kids and fucking babies, like they got to be the ones that are brought up properly, right? The world is fucked up right now, so they
that's
have
the
a
only way we'll
chance.
see change.
They
That's
have
the
a
only way we'll
chance,
see
right?
change, is that the youth is brought up with that mindset, right? But Dean, where we at? 1 hour. What are you thinking, your boys?
I think we got to bring Sako back with Alec next time.
Yeah, I'm back.
100%.
We're gonna bring you back for season 2. Just letting you know now. Bring us the Vegas
I didn't even know we had
wristbands.
seasons, but hey,
Bring us some wristbands for Vegas.
When do you stop? And season comes to an end at some point?
the thing is, we're launching one every week, so it's really never an end.
We'll just say next month. We'll have you back here with Alec.
But
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say thanks for coming out. I mean,
Thanks
this
for
is
having
going to
me.
be crazy.
It's
A lot
my
of people.
first podcast.
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
podcast.
I think
Virginia.
a lot of people are going to be very happy to see that we did a podcast with you and to hear what you have to say, because
You just want royalties if you're making money.
yeah,
off the
yeah,
show.
we have 500
you
views.
put in like 20 ads in here already. So yeah, I mean, pumped to have you, and I think a lot of people know you, but not enough people know your whole
I'm
story
trying to
and
see
the
if I
stuff you did.
forgot anything. Hold on, let me see if I
think
forgot
about any brands. Any brands?
Any
that
brand
shout out?
shout out before I get shit on for my partner saying, why the hell did you not bring this up?
I'm trying to think for you too.
I think we got it all. It takes us an hour to go through them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Anders at the Masonic Temple.
It's
That's an inside joke.
We revived that.
Of course,
We
of
did
course.
good.
We did revive that. That was a fucking good party.
Yeah.
But,
All right.
On that note, Sako, appreciate you coming
Thanks
out.
for having
Love
me,
you,
guys.
man.
It'll be
Keep
good.
up the great work.
Yes, thank you, and we'll have you back with Alec. We need to do that 100%.
Yeah.
But
We're gonna need more than an hour for that one.
guaranteed, Dean, gear
Dean.
up for that one.
Take a day off, Dean.
But on that note, we are out.
Honey, don't get everything is true.